All right, doing a prediction for the NFC. Starting off with the NFC East, and NFC East got slated as the Eagles to finish in last at 6-10. They won 7 games last year, surprisingly. First year Carson Wentz. I got them going 6-10. Got a tough schedule this year. Tough division and also tough schedule. All these teams have a pretty tough schedule in this division. But the Eagles, they did add Alshon Jeffrey, Nick Foles, and Torrey Smith on offense, and defensively they added Timmy Jernigan, Chris Long, Patrick Robinson, and offensively they got a pretty good receiving core with Jordan Matthews, Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey. We'll see how they click this year, and then Zach Ertz is their tight end. Carson Wentz, we'll see how he does in his second year. I think he'll do all right. And then Darren Sproles, Wendell Smallwood, some of the backs. And they lost Connor Barwin, Kenyon Barner, Nolan Carroll, Josh Huff, Chase Daniels, Benny Logan, and Leotis McKelvin. But I got them going 6-10 just in a tough division. I've got the Giants. Maybe this is a surprise. I got them going 7-9. I think they're going to kind of have a down year. I think Eli is not going to have that great of a year, even though he's got two pretty good wide receivers. They added Brandon Marshall in the offseason, and Odell Beckham is a top 5 receiver in the league. Sterling Shepard's an also pretty good receiver. Tied in, they got Evan Ingram in the draft, and they have Will Tye. Running back wise, they got Wayne Gallman from Clemson, and then they're real high on Paul Perkins. They got him out of UCLA about a year ago, and then obviously Eli Manning's the quarterback. Defensively, they got a pretty stout defensive line with Jason Pierre-Paul, Dalvin Thompson, a rookie out of Alabama, Oliver Vernon, Devin Kennard, and Jonathan Castillas is the linebackers with Keenan Robinson. Another good linebacker, B.J. Goodson. Janoris Jenkins is the cornerback. They got Valentino Blake from Tennessee. Eli Apple, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Landon Collins, and Darius Thompson. Got a pretty good defense. And then, the addition of Brandon Marshall was huge. They lost Jonathan Hankins and Cody Sensabaugh. Their draft really wasn't that great. They did get Evan Ingram and Dalvis Thompson, Davis Webb, Wayne Gallman. Back half of it was a little weak. But I got them going 7-9. Like I said, pretty tough schedule this year. Redskins, I like the Redskins again. I like Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins will honestly have a pretty good year. They had a really good draft. Got Jonathan Allen and Ryan Anderson in the first two rounds. Fabian Murillo out of UCLA. They got him and Samaj Piron, running back out of Oklahoma. Josh Harvey Clemens out of Louisville. Josh Holtzley out of Auburn. Some names that I know. They picked up Terrell Pryor in the offseason, Zach Brown from Buffalo. They made some good DJ Swearinger, some good offseason acquisitions. Jameson Crowder's a good slot. Josh Dodson should make an impact more this year. And then, Rob Kelly, I think they'll run Fat Rob a lot. Jordan Reed, a good tight end. Vernon Davis, another good tight end. And then, they got good linebackers, Ryan Kerrigan, Mason Foster, Zach Brown. Defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Terrell McClain, who they got from Dallas, Stacy McGee, Ziggy Hood. And then in the secondary, they got Josh Norman, Brashad Breeland, DJ Swearinger, and Stuart Cravens. Honestly, like this team, and I have them going 9-7 on the year, maybe getting a wild card spot. And then the Cowboys. Cowboys are not going to have as good of a season as they did last year, I don't think. But I think they're still going to be pretty good with the offensive line that they have. I got them going 10-6. I think Dak and Elliott will most likely get them at least to the playoffs. I don't know how deep into the playoffs, but I think they'll at least get them to the playoffs. Jason Witten, solid tight end. He's getting older. Best offensive line in the game. They picked up Jonathan Cooper from Cleveland. And, they did lose Doug Free and Ron Larry. Romo's gone. J.J. Wilcox is gone. Barry Church, Brandon Carr is gone. Maurice Claiborne lost most of their secondary and replaced it with Byron Jones, Orlando Sandrick, two guys that were already there. They drafted Chiobi Awuzie from Colorado in the draft. I like him. Nolan Carroll they got in free agency. Robert Blanton in free agency. Jeff Heath, hard hitter, got him slated as starting right now at strong safety. Anthony Brown, another cornerback, to go with Sandridge. Linebacker Sean Lee, Anthony Hitchen, those are some good linebackers. Jalen Smith, we'll see if he gets some playing time this year. Damian Wilson's the other linebacker starting. Defensive line to me is a little bit weak with Tyrone Crawford, Malik Collins, Cedric Thornton, DeMarcus Lawrence, but they usually do a little bit. They did get Stephen Payu from Cleveland. Offensively, like I said, Zeke's going to have a huge year. Dak will probably have an all-right year. We'll see what happens with the wide receivers. Cole Beasley had a really good year, really hooked up with Dak a lot. We'll see how he does this year. Ryan Switzer is another player kind of like Beasley. We'll see if he gets some time this year. Dez Bryant, I think, will have a pretty good year, top 10 receiver. And Terrence Williams, I think will have an all-right year. If they start doubling Dez, those are games where I think Terrence Williams might have some good games. I got them going 10-6, just eking out ahead of the Redskins in the NFC East. For the NFC North, I got the Bears going 3-13. They had a terrible draft. I think it was not a very good idea to go for Trubisky the way they did. I know they saw the guy they wanted and they went for it. But after that, they got Eddie Jackson, a pretty good pick. Adam Shahee, good tight end from a small college. Tariq Cohen, a good running back from a small college. They did get some good players, but I think they kind of reached for Mitch a little bit, gave up some draft picks for it. Wide receiver wise, they lost Alshon Jeffrey, and obviously lost Jay Cutler too. But Kevin White, Cam Meredith, two guys that are pretty good talent. We'll see how they do this year. They added Marcus Wheaton and Kendall Wright. We'll see if one of them emerges as a talent. Eddie Royal, he's always pretty solid for them. They added Marcus Cooper and Prince Aokumara, Quentin Demps, Mike Glennon, John Jenkins, Mark Sanchez. It's funny, you hear, is Trubisky going to start? I'm looking at this depth chart in here, and Mike Glennon and Mark Sanchez are the two quarterbacks on top. I honestly like that better. I was thinking, why not have Mark Sanchez start? I think Mark Sanchez is, I think he could win the job, honestly. But I would much rather see Mike Glennon start. They could go like 0-5 or 0-6 or so, like something like that, or 1-5, 1-6, and then Trubisky goes in. But I don't think Trubisky will start right off. But I think they hyped him for that type stuff. Zach Miller, a good tight end. Jordan Howard, he's going to be a top back. I think they're going to have to run the ball a lot. Jeremy Langford. Defensive line is pretty good. Will Sutton, Willie Young, Pernell McPhee, John Jenkins. They added Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman. Linebackers, Joe Freeman, Leonard Floyd, Dan Trevathan, McPhee. And then secondary-wise, Eddie Jackson, Demps, Cooper, Amukamura, Prince Amukamura. And then, they have Sam Acho, Christian Jones, Harold Jones, Quarterly, Adrian Amos, some other guys. Defensively, this won't be a bad team, but I think the offense that's going to lack. I had them going 3-13. I got the Lions going 9-7. I think the Lions, I think they're not a bad team, but at the same time, I don't think they're necessarily good. I think they had a pretty good draft. Gerard Davis and Tease Jabbar from Florida, 2 good picks. Kenny Golladay, Northern Illinois. Jalen Reeves Maben from Tennessee. Some good picks. Brad Kaya late. And when you look at their team, defensively, I like Glover Quinn and Darius Slay in their secondary. T.J. Gibraltar, Miles Killebrew, DJ Hayden, some guys and also in the secondary, kind of backing up guys. You know, linebacker wise, Gerard Davis, Tariq Whitehead, Paul Warlow, Nick Ballore, Jalen Reeves, Maben. Those are some of the linebackers. Ezekiel Anza, Sean Robinson, Haloti Ngata, Kerry Ryder. Real good defensive line. Cornelius Washington, Akeem Spence, some other guys. Anthony Zettel on the line. They got a real good defensive line. And then Matthew Stafford honestly became a good quarterback. I don't really know who will be the guy this year. Theo Riddick, Amir Abdullah, Zach Zenner. Anyone, and maybe they'll probably share a lot of time. So that'll be hard, but I think they'll be all right. Like I said, 9-7. And then receiver wise, Marvin Jones, he's an all right receiver. We'll see what Kenny Golladay does this year. T.J. Jones, and I think Golden Tate's their best receiver. I'm not too high on him. I'm not that big of a fan of him though. I got the Vikings going 10-6. I guess the Vikings are a bit of a surprise team. I really like what I saw. Their defense was good last year. I really like what I saw out of Sam Bradford, how they used Sam Bradford last year. And they had a good draft. Davin Cook, a good pick. Pat Eifin, Ohio State. Ben Gideon from Michigan. Rodney Adams, a real fast receiver from South Florida. Bucky Hodge, tight end out of Virginia Tech. Stacey Cole, wide receiver out of Miami. Pretty good draft. And then they picked up Latavius Murray in the offseason. They did lose Chad Greenway, Matt Khalil, Jeff Locke, Captain Mutterland, Cordell Patterson, Adrian Peterson. I think it's tough losing Adrian Peterson, but I think it was time to let him go. They did pick up Latavius Murray, and they have Dalvin Cook on the way. Really like Sam Bradford. I like the season he had last year. I think he's going to have a good year. Kyle Rudolph, good tight end. Adam Tien, Stephon Diggs. I think they're both going to have really good years. Laquan Treadwell, I think, will emerge this year also. Real good defensive line. Everson Griffin, Deton Jones, Laval Joseph, Brian Robinson, Daniel Hunter. Real good defensive line. Linebackers, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendrick, Emmanuel Lemur, Ben Gideon, Kentrell Brothers, Edmund Robinson. Those are the tight ends. Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, Terrence Newman, Xavier Rhodes. Real good cornerbacks. And then Sendejo and Harrison Smith. Real solid defense. We'll see what happens with this team. I'm projecting them to go 10-6 on the year. I got Packers going 12-4, getting first in this division. Got them going 12-4, and they added Martellus Bennett, Jarrell Evans, Devon House, rookie Sean Francois. They lost Jared Cook, Micah Hyde, Eddie Lacy, TJ Lang, Julius Peppers, TC Shredder, their center. Defensively, I really like their secondary. Kevin King, I really like that draft pick. That was their first pick. Demarius Randall, he played at Arizona State a couple years back. Devon House, Josh Jones, the guy they drafted. Morgan Burnett, Clinton Dix, and their secondary. Nick Perry, Blake Martinez, Jake Ryan, Clay Matthews, all good linebackers. Vince Beagle, a rookie. Martavius Adams, another rookie. Mike Daniels, real underrated defensive end. He's a good player. and Kenny Clark and Ricky Juan Francois on the defensive line. LaTroy Guion, Dean Lowry too. Offensively, I don't really know if Ty Montgomery is the traditional fit at running back. It does good for catching passes out the backfield since he was a wide receiver before for Ty Montgomery. Aaron Ripkowski is not a bad fullback for them. I think Jamal Williams will emerge as the running back here. Aaron Rodgers will have another monster year. I think him and Martellus Bennett will hook up a lot. Jordy Nelson, if he stays healthy, he'll have a good year. Geronimo Allison, Devontae Adams, I think are other guys poised to have good years. Randall Cobb, I think we'll have a typical Randall Cobb year. Next division is the NFC South. I don't really look at the Saints to have that great of a season. This year, I see, a lot of close games with them. That's how usually Breeze does for them. But I project them going 6-10. This year, they added Chase Daniels and Ted Ginn, A.J. Klein, Alex Okafor, Adrian Peterson, Monte Teo. They lost Jarius Byrd, Braden Cooks, Tim Hightower. I feel as if, defensively, Alex Okafor, Cameron Jordan are some good players. Sheldon Rankins, Daryl Tapp, some good players on our defensive line. Darnell Ellerby and Manti Teo, A.J. Klein, some of their Nathan Stupar, Stephon Anthony, some of their linebackers. Marshawn Lattimore is the rookie cornerback that they picked up. Delvin Brooks is another cornerback they have. Sterling Moore, another cornerback. Kenny Vaccaro, Von Bell finish up the secondary. Adding Adrian Peterson was good, but the fact they have Mark Ingram, I think they're going to split a lot of time. Honestly, Peterson doesn't really fit their offense. I feel like Kuhn, I think, will have an all right year. Typical John Kuhn year. Colby Fleener will have an all right year. Drew Brees will have a typical, Drew Brees year. Michael Thomas is a top 10 receiver. I think he'll have a really good season. Willie Snead will have a good season. And I think Ted Ginn will actually do pretty good out the slot this season if they let him play out the slot. Draft-wise, they honestly had a really good draft. The Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk from Wisconsin, Marcus Williams out of Utah, Alvin Kamara, running back. I really like that pick. Alex Azolone, a linebacker from Florida. I like their draft that they had. Third, I've got the Buccaneers at 9-7. I think they're gonna have a pretty good season. I like their draft. O.J. Howard, Chris Goodwin, Justin Evans, Kendall Beckwith, Jeremy McNichols, Steven Tuaka Lokovaku. They had a good draft. I think Jameis Winston's ready to excel. I think he'll like O.J. Howard, Cameron Bray, Doug Martin should be pretty good. And then wide receiver wise, Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson. Two huge receivers. Mike Evans top 5 wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson is gonna be good going deep and stuff like that. Chris Goodwin as a rookie, and Adam Humphries. They didn't add too many guys this offseason. They had Chris Baker, Deshaun Jackson, J.J. Wilcox, and they lost Bradley McDougall, Akeem Spence, and Mike Glennon. Not too bad. They have Willie Golston, Robert Ayers on defensive end, Noah Spence, Chris Baker, Gerald McCoy, linebackers Kendall Beckwith, Quan Alexander, Levante Davis, really good linebackers. Beckwith played at LSU. Vernon Hargroves and Brent Grimes, 2 good cornerbacks. And then Chris Conti or Keith Tatey at free safety, and J.J. Wilcox, and then Justin Evans also at strong safety. Pretty solid team. I think they'll go 9-7 this year. I got the Panthers going 11-5. I think they're going to have a bounce back season. I think Cam Newton will have a good year this year. I think their defense will be a bit better. Not great, but I think it'll be a bit better. You know, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Shaq Thomas, really good linebackers. And then cornerback-wise, Dale Worley, James Bradbury weren't bad last year. They also picked up Captain Mutterland, got Corn Elder in the draft from Miami. Mike Adams they picked up from Indianapolis. Kurt Coleman, someone that they've had. And then defensive line-wise, Kwan Short, started Luda Ludi, Charles Johnson, Marcus Addison, Julius Peppers, pretty good defensive line. And then offensive-wise, like I said, I think Cam Newton will have a good year. And then I think Jonathan Stewart will do all right this year. Greg Olsen will have a good year. I think Christian McCaffrey honestly will be a pretty good player. Kind of a surprise player this year. I think he'll actually be pretty good. Curtis Samuel, another guy, I think that'll be pretty good. Kelvin Benjamin, I think, will be disappointing. I think their receiving core will be disappointing. Their offensive line is really good. Michael Oher, whatever you fucking say his name, Trey Turner, and then they have both the Khalil brothers. So we'll see how I think their offensive line will be better. So I think they'll be able to run the ball and be protected a lot better. Their other receivers other than Benjamin and Curtis Samuel, Funches, Russell Shepard, and Charles Johnson. And then first, I think Atlanta. I think Atlanta continues to be hot. Atlanta had another good draft. Took Chris McKinley out of UCLA, Duke Riley, linebacker out of LSU, Sean Harlow, guard out of Oregon State, DeMonte Kazee, cornerback out of San Diego State, Brian Hill, running back out of Wyoming. Pretty good draft from them. And they got Denari Poe in the offseason. They did lose a lot of people in the offseason, though. They did pick up Jack Crawford from Dallas, Andre Robertson from Detroit. They lost Babenix. They lost DeMarco, or his name's Babineau. And then DeMarco, Dwight Freeney, Tyson Jackson, Aldrick Robinson, James Tamey, Jacob Tamey, Sean Witherspoon, Eric Weems, Philip Wheeler, Paul Warlow. Lost all those guys in the offseason. Grady James also on the defensive line with McKinley and Poe. And then Vic Beasley. Vic Beasley is going to be a good player this year. They got Adrian Claiborne and Brooks Reed also. Jack Claiborne also. Linebackers, Deion Jones, he was huge last year. Duke Riley, another good linebacker. Secondary-wise, Jalen Collins, Robert Alford, Desmond Trufant, Damon Kaiser, Keanu Neal. He had a real good year last year. And Ricardo Allen. Offensively, one of the best 1-2 punches in pro football, and Freeman and Coleman, Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. I think they'll both have pretty solid seasons this year. Matt Ryan, I think, will have a pretty good season. Austin Hooper, I think, will be the tight end for them, and then Julio Jones is top 3 wide receiver. I think he'll have another good year. Justin Hardy, Taylor Gilbert will have all right years. Sanu will be pretty good if he can take advantage of mismatches when they start double teaming Jones. I see them going 13-3 this year. All right, and then the final conference is the NFC West. This one's pretty easy. I've got let's see here. I've got the 49ers. 49ers had a really good draft. Really impressed with their draft. I got them going 1-15. John Lynch is really. I really like the hire of John Lynch. He's done really good in the time that he's been there. Really good draft. Really good moves this offseason to get the players that some good players that actually would come there. Draft-wise, Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, two really good defensive players. Akilo Witherspoon, another good defensive player. Quarterback C.J. Beathard from Iowa. Joe Williams, running back from Utah. George Kittle, tight end from Iowa. Trent Taylor, wide receiver from Louisiana Tech. Ole Miss, defensive tackle DJ Jones. They had a really good draft. Really, really good draft. Maybe the best draft, right up there with Houston, right up there with Cleveland's draft. They had a really good draft. I was really impressed with their draft. And then their offseason moves this year, Pierre Garcon, Marquise Goodwin, Robbie Gould, Tim Hightower, Brian Hoyer, Kyle, I can't say his last name, but the fullback from Baltimore, Earl Mitchell, Logan Paulson, Jeremy Zuda. They lost Tremaine Brock, Antonio Bethea, Colin Kaepernick, Phil Dawson, Quentin Patton, Torrey Smith, and Michael Wilholt. But, they're going to be starting a lot of these guys that they added. Pierre Garcon, Marquise Goodwin, I think is a really fast. I think he's a good player. Aldrick Robinson they have, and Jeremy Curley. And then Logan Paulson, Vance McDonald. Brian Hoyer's an all-right quarterback. We'll see what he can do. And then Carlos Hyde, Tim Hightower, I think is a pretty good, powerful combination. I'm really impressed with their defense, where their defense is going. I don't think their offense is, I think they're going 1-15. That's what I projected. So I don't really think they're there yet, but their defense is definitely headed in the right direction. Secondary-wise, Dante Johnson, Rashard Robinson, Eric Reed, Jimmy Ward, and then they got Akilo Witherspoon, the rookie. Linebacker-wise, really solid running backs: Ahmad Brooks, Navarro Bowman, Reuben Foster, Ray Armstrong, Malcolm Smith, Eli Harold. Those are some guys. That's their linebackers, and then their defensive line is solid too. They added DJ Jones, rookie, Aaron Lynch, and then Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Errol Mitchell, and then Solomon Thomas. I think their defense is going to surprise a little bit this year, but obviously 1-15 still because their offense just isn't there yet. I got the Rams not having a very good season. I got the Rams going 2-15. I don't think Goff is ready. It's slated as Goff, and then Steve Manning is the next guy. So, it looks like Goff definitely is going to be the guy of the future. Obviously, they drafted him 1, and, they're going to go ahead and let him play. I do like their receiving core, Tavon Adams, Farrell Cooper, Josh Reynolds at Texas A&M. And then Robert Woods they picked up from Buffalo in the offseason. Cooper Kupp, one of my favorite rookie wide receivers. I've been high on him for a while. I think he's going to be a real good slot receiver in this league. Offensive line-wise, they added Andrew Whitworth. They got Goff a tackle. They added Connor Barwin, Lance Dunbar, Nickel Roby Coleman, John Sullivan, another offensive lineman. And Gurley, I think Gurley will have a better year than he did last year, but still I don't think he's going to ever be the guy that he was that rookie season. Aaron Donald, very, very good defensive tackle, top 2, top 3. Dominique Easley, another guy they have. Michael Brockers, Robert Quinn, don't forget about him. He's a very good player. Linebacker-wise, Mark Barron and Alec Ogletree. Connor Baldwin is their 3 linebackers. Robert Quinn is also a linebacker. Tremaine Johnson is a cornerback. Maurice Alexander, free safety. LaMarcus Joyner, another strong safety. E.J. Gaines, Nickel Roby Coleman, some other cornerbacks that they have. Kayvon Webster, another cornerback that they got this offseason from Denver. All right, draft. Cooper Kupp, Josh Reynolds, Gerald Everett. We'll see if Everett gets some time this year. Sam Rodgers, a fullback out of Virginia Tech. He's honestly a pretty good pick. Awan Price from Pittsburgh, a good defensive end. And then we've got Arizona. Arizona is had a pretty good draft, and I think they're going to go 10-6 this year. But definitely a better year than they had last year. Only won 7 games last year. I really like their offense with Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, and then David Johnson out the backfield. He's really tough to stop. John Brown, Jaron Brown, J.J. Nelson, some good wide receivers. We'll see what they can do this year. Offensive line's always pretty solid with them. They did lose Kevin Minter, Tony Jefferson, Marcus Cooper, Calais Campbell, DJ Swearinger, all on the defensive side of the ball. They added Antonio Bethray, Carlos Dansby, and Phil Dawson. I like the addition of Phil Dawson. Tyrann Matthews, hopefully he can stay healthy. Antonio Bethray, Patrick Peterson, some guys, Tyvon Branch, Buda Baker, some guys in the secondary. Marcus Golden, Deion Buchanan, Carlos Dansby, Chandler Jones, some real good linebackers they have. Jarvis Jones, Hanson Reddick. Hanson Reddick was their first-round pick. Buda Baker, second-round pick out of Washington. Reddick played at Temple. And then on the defensive line, Robert Ndamukong and Corey Peters, Rodney Gunter. We'll see what Ndamukong can do. A little bit of a weaker defensive line, but they have really solid linebackers to back that up. I think they're going 10-6. And then I got Seattle going 11-5, just eking out first place in the NFC West. I think Eddie Lacy will be all right. We'll help them out a little bit this year. Draft-wise, Malik McDowell, I think he fits Seattle pretty good. I think he'll have some good playing time this year. Ethan Pollock might end up playing offensive line this year. Shaquille Griffin, cornerback. Delano Hill, a safety from Michigan. Nazar Jones, defensive line out of North Carolina. Amara DeBar, he might get some playing time out of Michigan. Tedrick Thomas, a good safety out of Colorado. Mike Tyson, a good safety out of Cincinnati. David Moore out of East Central Oklahoma. Don't know a lot about him. Christopher Carson, running back out of Oklahoma State. They added a lot of guys this offseason too. Luke Jokel from Jacksonville. Terrence Garvin, linebacker. Arthur Brown, linebacker. Ode Abushi, an offensive guard out of Houston. Deion Jordan, Eddie Lacy, Bradley McDougall, Blair Walsh, Michael Wilholt. They lost Brock Coyle, Gary Gillum, Stephen Hauschka, Tony McDaniel, Bradley Soule. They added Blair Walsh. I like the addition of Blair Walsh. Defensively, Errol Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Jeremy Lane, Deshaun Shedd, Tedrick Thompson, Bradley McDougall. Real good secondary. I like their secondary. They've always had a really good secondary. KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, Michael Wilthold are some of their linebackers. Pretty good linebackers. Clint Averill, Jaron Reed, Itabai Rubin, and Michael Bennett, Malik McDowell, Nazir Jones, some of them, Cassius Marsh, Frank Clark, their defensive line. And then offensively, Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls is their offensive line. They've tried to improve their offense. That's their offense. That's their running backs. They've tried to improve their offensive line this offseason. It looks a little bit better. They drafted a guy and then they added Jokel. Wide receiver-wise, I like Lockett a lot. Paul Richardson, Doug Baldwin, Tanner McAvoy, some good wide receivers. I don't like Curse. I think they should just go ahead and get rid of him. Casey Williams, we'll see if he does anything. And then, Jimmy Graham's a real good receiver too. He finally emerged last year. Luke Wilson, him and Russell Wilson connect pretty well. We'll see what Russell Wilson can do this year. I think he'll be a lot better. Not gimped off he had a kind of a bad knee last year. I think they'll go 11-5 this year. Playoff wise, I see. Carolina playing Atlanta in the divisional round and Atlanta winning. I see Seattle playing Green Bay in the divisional round and Green Bay winning. And I see Green Bay beating Atlanta and then Green Bay playing Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. This is my preseason prediction. Playoff prediction would be Cowboys to get in, Falcons to get in, Panthers to get in, Seahawks get in, Packers get in, And then it'd probably be, I think, Cardinals would get in. But, I would say that Dallas would lose to Carolina, and Arizona would lose to Seattle, and then Seattle would play Green Bay and Carolina play Atlanta. I mean, this is just what I predicted the first season. But I got Pittsburgh playing Green Bay in the Super Bowl, and I got Pittsburgh winning again. I got a feeling Pittsburgh is going to win it this year. But that's how I feel about that. That was my prediction for the NFC. Kind of give you a little idea of the players and how I feel about how the teams will do this year. Hope you enjoy.